You're about to listen to the words of Fethullah Gulen, a distinguished Islamic scholar and thinker. This is part 2 of his essay, The Love of God.
The one who believes in divine unity sets their heart on God. They love, seek, and worship God before everything. Every action expresses their desire and their service. Consequently, they love the prophets and eminent friends of God, who are the purest mirrors of His manifestations, as well as the special servants of God, who represent His will as exceptional vicegerents on earth. Among them, the Prophet Muhammad, pride of humanity, is most deserving of love, for he is the focus of God's favors, His devout apostle, the true interpreter of His person and attributes, and the last and most noble of the prophets. It is for God's sake that the believer loves youth, which He bestows in order that we fully experience our temporality. It is for God's sake that the believer loves this world, where God manifests His beautiful names and attributes, and where we cultivate the good things that will be harvested in the other world. The believer loves parents who are heroes of compassion when they care for their children, and all family members who share with them the same divine blessings. These loves are also the expressions of a sincere love of God. The believer loves all things for His sake. As believers, we open our hearts to our beloved ones for God's sake, but unbelievers love them as if they were loving God Himself. These two loves are completely different. To love something for the sake of God is a sacred act that originates in faith, relates to worship, and manifests itself as moral conduct. It is the mark of the perfect believer. In contrast to the sensual love, if it can be called love at all, which expresses the animal inclinations of our nature, love that begins in God is like a sacred drink that the angels rush to taste. If we give all of our existence to the beloved in such love, leaving nothing for ourselves, then only concern with the beloved remains in our heart. The heart then adjusts its rhythm and burns with a new longing, while our eyes attempt to cool these flames with tears. The heart reproaches the eyes for revealing its secret as it strives to hide its suffering from outsiders, even as it burns within. It murmurs, "If you are in love, grieve not over its sting. Do not let others know of your agony." Love is a sovereign who has made its throne in our hearts. It speaks in the groans of hope and longing that we pour out to God on the prayer rug in solitude. The expressions of the suffering of love should be kept hidden from others, especially from those ignorant of it. If love is for the beloved who is all-knowing, then it should remain in the most private sphere, away from the eyes of strangers. Childish ones will advertise their little loves everywhere they go, complaining loudly of their sufferings and making sure that their beloved is the talk of the town. But the lovers of God are quiet and sincere. They put their head on the threshold of His presence, pour out their heart to Him, and may even faint from passion. But they never reveal the secret agony of their love. They put their hands and feet at His service and their ears and tongue at His command. Their heart waits at the horizon for the divine manifestations to rise like the sun. They melt in the light of His existence, annihilated in their love. As they feel Him more deeply, they burn with love and say, "More." They drink the wine of love, cup after cup, and say, "More." They are never satisfied with loving and being loved, so they repeat, "More." As they continue asking for more, the beloved unveils to them unprecedented beauties and removes the curtains from many mysteries. Then they feel and think only of Him, and they see the manifestations of His unimaginable beauty in everything. They dissolve their own will and power into His, expressing their love in obedience and fidelity. The doors of their heart are bolted against distractions so securely that no other beloved can enter their prosperous home. They turn to God with all of their existence, and their praises to Him come from far beyond the horizon of even their own comprehension. They fully hope that God will honor their faithfulness. They understand that their position in God's sight is related to the position they dedicate to Him in their own, so they strive to stand upright in His presence. Although they love him madly, they do not entitle themselves to anything. Instead, they are as embarrassed and loyal as a debtor, echoing the words of Rabia al-Adawiyya, "I swear that I have not worshipped you in order to demand paradise. The only reason for my service is that I love you." They travel towards his sublime presence with nothing but an upwelling love, and they constantly thank him for his bounties to them along the way. Their hearts are close to him, while their minds reflect upon all creation. They hear the sounds of love in everything. They are enraptured with the sense of love that arises from every flower, and every scene reflects to them his beauty. In his presence they always talk and think of love. All of creation is displayed before them as a festival of God's love, and they hear in it the divine harmony. Once love has established its authority in the heart, opposites begin to resemble each other. Presence and absence, blessing and adversity, ease and hardship, pleasure and pain, all give the same sound and look the same way. For the lover sees suffering no different from enjoyment, and disease no different from remedy. They taste anguish like it is spring water. No matter how ruthless existence might be, they hold their position with profound fidelity. Their gaze is fixed on the door that will be opened to them. They keep watch for divine favors and manifestations, ready to welcome them. Their obedience is the utmost expression of their love, and their heart beats with the joy of submission. They tremble like a leaf for the fear of disobeying their beloved, and beg him for help in order not to fall. In time, this quest for the utmost unity with their beloved makes them loved, both in the heavens and on the earth. They only consider God and expect nothing in return for their love. For this would be a betrayal of their love, even if their expectations were for the other world. Yet they consider it disrespectful to reject the favors of the beloved when they come without their asking. They accept them in total humility and take refuge from their temptations in him. For the lover, longing itself is the highest honor, and self-annihilation in the will of the beloved is the highest attainment. Love initially requires repentance, attention, and patience, and it grows with passion, yearning, familiarity, satisfaction, and prudence. The path of love requires that we be purified from personal desires. It demands that we relate all our thoughts to the beloved, remain steadfast in the memory of him, and hope always in the expressions of his love. On this path to love to an utmost degree is ISHQ. To gush with passion and joy is shock. To welcome gladly every treatment of the beloved is Rita. And to practice constant prudence and sobriety against the ecstatic feelings of being in his presence is Tamkin. As these qualities dominate their heart, the lover displays peculiar attitudes. At times they seek solitude in which to cry and unburden their heart to God. At times they delve deep into various considerations and have conversations with him. Sometimes they mourn over their separation from God. Sometimes they are relieved by the hope of reunion and calmed by tears of joy. They often taste the unique presence of God in the midst of creation's multiplicity and forget what is happening around them. Sometimes they disappear so completely into the awe of the divine presence that they no longer hear their own voice and breath. Our spiritual knowledge of God is the ground in which love grows and is nourished. One who is deprived of wisdom cannot truly love, just as one whose senses are deadened cannot attain wisdom. Sometimes God stimulates our hearts to revive love in us. This is a special bestowal that we can only anticipate. However, such a passive waiting for extraordinary favor is less meaningful than the active anticipation that strives for wisdom and the knowledge of God. Faithful servants base their expectations on their actions. Theirs is a dynamic stance, which impels them towards marvelous activity. These are the loyal lovers. No matter how their beloved treats them, they are glad. With fidelity, they can say, "I am a helpless lover, my dear. I will never abandon you. Rend my heart with a dagger, if you will, but I will never leave you." They suffer, longing for reunion with the beloved, but they never complain, and they always dream of reuniting with the beloved. Every conversation they have is about him, With his name always on their lips, they reach angelic heights. Love is their soul, and for them, the soul governs the body. They can survive without their body, but not without this soul. There is no room in their existence for anything except this love. Even if they appear in this world as the poorest and weakest, they stand high enough in the spiritual realm to crown the kings. They are great in their weakness, powerful in their frailty, and boundlessly wealthy despite their poverty. They may look like dim candles, but they are a source of energy rich enough to fuel the sun. And although all people appeal to them in respect and admiration, they appeal to no one but God. Their richness of soul exceeds the universe, yet when they turn towards God, they become like a tiny spark, a nothing. The candle of the soul has such a flame that cannot fit in the lantern of the firmament. They cannot imagine life without the beloved. It is not a life at all. For them, to live without this love is to waste their life. Any pleasure or joy that does not relate to him is a distraction. They consider those who are without love to be strangers to the true life of humanity.
You have just listened to the words of Fethullah Gulen, brought to life through an AI-generated voice. Known for his teachings on faith, interfaith dialogue, peace, and education, Meister Gulen also inspired the Hizmet movement, a global initiative that promotes democracy, human rights, equality, and nonviolence. To learn more about Fethullah Gulen and the Hizmet movement, visit fgulen.com.